Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is The Rings of Power, Season 2. Season 1 ended with the forging of the 3 elven rings by the master elven smith Celebrimbor and help from the human Halbrand. Halbrand and Galadriel had been flirting, but she just discovered his dark secret. He is Sauron in disguise. Now Galadriel goes to the Elf King like, hey, I've got good news and bad news. Good news, we successfully forged 3 magic rings to save our people. Bad news, the Dark Lord Sauron kinda helped. The big question is, how much did he help? Was he able to corrupt these rings? The Elf King's like, well, let me check them out, but Elrond is so sure they're corrupted, he yeets himself off the cliff with them. He gives them to this old wise elf who agrees they're too dangerous and is gonna drop them to the bottom of the ocean. So it's a sad day for the elves who hold an impromptu a cappella sesh to mourn the loss of their magic tree, and now they'll have to leave Middle-earth. But just then, Old Wise Elf returns. As he was about to drop the rings, a fish knocked into his boat, and he took that as a sign that, hey, these rings are totally fine. So Elf King puts one on, Galadriel gets the other, and it works! Magic tree back to life! 3 elven rings uncorrupted. Meanwhile, over in Mordor, or Mordor as they say on the show, the orcs are led by their Lord Father Adar, who is technically an orc himself, but he's still kinda hot. Halbrand, who remember is king of the Southlands, wants to make a deal to free his people. He tells Adar that the elves just made some magic rings working with a guy named Sauron, and for Adar, Sauron's return is very bad news. Remember, the original Dark Lord was Morgoth, and after his defeat, his right-hand man Sauron tried to take up the mantle himself. But he gave the orcs a very bad pitch. Most of you will die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Adar was not down with that, decided to kill Sauron so the orcs could forge their own destiny. But Sauron is not so easily killed, he's kind of like a demigod. Pretty soon his body reformed as the Venom symbiote. He formed himself a new human body and decided to make this one hot. The elves write a letter to Celebrimbor warning him that Halbrand is Sauron. Of course that letter doesn't get delivered. And so at the elf city Eregion, Halbrand shows up and Celebrimbor doesn't know he's evil. But Halbrand reveals he has a secret. He's not actually human. He shows his full divine form and comes out now with an elf body. You can call me Anatar. I'm here to help you forge more rings to save the world from Sauron. But the real person sent to stop Sauron is still far away. It's our friend, maybe Gandalf. And this season he remembers how to talk and stuff, but he still has amnesia, doesn't know who he is. He knows that he has magic powers, but he can't control them. But he's had visions of the constellation under which he will find his wizard staff. He's traveling with 2 hobbits, Nori and Poppy, though at this point they're still called Harfoots. Their journey brings them to a desert land, which is ruled by an evil dark wizard who's given off major Saruman vibes. We find out the Eminem impersonator was working for him, but they're not in this season. Instead, he sends his other goons to go capture maybe Gandalf, so he picks up a random stick and summons a huge sandstorm. But a random stick isn't gonna cut it. He loses control and blows his Harfoot friends away. Improbably, they find another hobbit. They call themselves Stewars. They live here in the desert in a beautiful hidden canyon, and this guy and Poppy immediately start dating. Their leader explains generations ago, a group of them left to go find the Promised Land, a land of green and plenty. Sounds a lot like the Shire. That group, it seems, became the Harfoots, but Nori gives her the bad news. We haven't found it yet. We're still wanderers. Meanwhile, maybe Gandalf gets himself eaten by a tree, but he's saved by a merry fellow. Yes, it's Tom Bombadil, famous character from the books that didn't make it into the movies. Tom Bombadil is the ultimate chill dude who likes to sit around singing songs and stuff. We don't really learn anything about his lore, but apparently he's older than Middle-earth itself. Maybe Gandalf's like, hey, do you know who I am? And old Tom's like, of course, you're a wizard, Harry. Meanwhile, Elendil, captain of Numenor's army, is mourning the loss of his son Isildur, who was killed in the volcanic explosion last season. But Isildur's horse thinks he's still alive and goes off on an epic journey, and like Aragorn's horse in Lord of the Rings, Isildur's horse saves him from a cave of giant spiders. Now Isildur has a meet cute, and he's instantly smitten. Unfortunately, she has a fiancé, but good news, he's probably dead. They're attacked by bandits, but they're saved by cool elf guy busting in with the Legolas moves. Remember, he was in love with the human Bronwyn, but I guess she died last season. Her son, the doofus kid, is real beat up about it. Elf guy tries to comfort him, but he's like, Mur, you're not my real dad. Long story short, he's kidnapped by a tree. Luckily, elves can all speak tree, and he's able to calm this thing down by promising they'll never chop another tree again. So the tree ants release their prisoners, and Isildur and this girl are gonna make out. But one of the tree's prisoners was her fiancé. Bad luck, bro. Now, over on Numenor, the old king has just died, and next in line is his daughter, who remember is blind now. But the Make Numenor Great Again movement would much prefer their own candidate, Counselor Pharazôn, who remember has epic hair and beard. But his son, Kevin, is a whiny brat with dumb hair and no beard. But Pharazôn gets an unlikely new ally, Isildur's sister, who blames the queen for her brother's supposed death. And so on Inauguration Day, she reveals the queen's secret that she's been using a palantir to see the future, which is apparently dirty elf magic. This sends the crowd into a riot, but just then a giant eagle flies in, which is a symbol from the gods of their support for the new monarch. But Pharazôn seizes the opportunity, walks right up to this thing. Oh, you want me to be king? The eagle's like, what? No, very clearly talking about her. But it's too late, the crowd starts chanting, so Pharazôn is named king of Numenor. Step 1 in the new regime is fire all the queen's loyalists from the army. But Elendil is still beloved by his men. They all give him the yo captain, my captain. It's like, yo pops, what do we do about Elendil? And it's like, Kevin, first things first, we gotta do something about your hair. I don't know, use some mousse or something. But secondly, don't antagonize Elendil. We can't afford to make him a symbol of resistance. But Kevin, eager to prove himself, immediately does antagonize Elendil. One of Isildur's friends stands up to him. It turns into a fight where he breaks Kevin's arm. Elendil tries to de-escalate, and so this guy surrenders. But what's this? Stabbed in the back? Oh, Kevin, you're just the worst. Now Elendil becomes a symbol of resistance. Dang it, Kevin, you done messed up. Now executing him would make him a martyr, but they find an old law that he can do trial by sea monster. That way the gods can declare him guilty because, surprise, the sea monster always eats them. They bring Elendil down to the sea. All right, release the Kraken. But now what's this? The queen comes out. Because he's loyal to me, you should try me in his place. She wades out into the water where, wow, pulled down, and oh yeah, that's a big Kraken. But in this world, the gods are actually real, and so the sea monster deems her worthy. They have no choice but to declare her innocent. And a Kraken is way cooler than an eagle. The people think she should be queen again. Now let's check in with the dwarves in their grand city of Khazad-dûm. They've got a cool mirror system set up that brings sunlight to all their crops. But the volcanic eruption in Mordor sends shockwaves here. Oh no, it's a cave-in, and now they're plunged into darkness. They try to dig new tunnels, but it's not working. Looks like they'll have to abandon the city. But now Celebrimbor calls Prince Durin with a way to save their mountain by forging the magic rings. Unfortunately, this time Sauron has a direct hand in forging them. And so it happens, 7 rings for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone. And at first, the ring works great. King Durin Sr. can now hear the mountain, knows exactly where to dig, and the city is saved. But now the king wants to keep digging, abandoning all safety regulations. Some might say the dwarves delved too greedily and too deep. Durin's wife, Disa, is a stone singer, and she hears something weird down there. Sounds like it might be a Balrog. Durin tries to warn his father, but he's clearly been corrupted by the ring. Yes, this is my precious. So Durin goes to see Celebrimbor. Hey, I think your ring might be evil. So Celebrimbor confronts his friend Annatar. Hey, are you Sauron in disguise? You legally have to tell me if you are. Sauron, whose nickname is the Deceiver, simply says no. Oh, well, that's good enough for me. Sauron, in fact, is really good at turning things around. He blames the ring's corruption on Celebrimbor's faulty craftsmanship. It's like, hey man, you messed up, but that's okay, I know how to fix it. We need to forge more rings to balance out those faulty ones. How about 9 rings for mortal men? So Celebrimbor gets to work, but he starts acting erratically. His employees all think he's losing it. The main one has a huge crush on Annatar. It's like, hey, I think Celebrimbor's gone senile. You should take over the city. Celebrimbor never answered their letter, so the other elves go to check it out in person. But they find the way is blocked by a massive army of orcs. Galadriel gives Elrond her ring for safekeeping, while she buys them time to escape by soloing the entire orc army. Eventually she's caught, but Adar is like, hey, I don't want to fight. Sauron is our common enemy. But she's like, hey, can I trust the orcs to go back to Mordor and live in peace? And he's like, well, can we trust the elves to let us live in peace instead of coming to kill us? Adar decides he can't trust them. He's going to attack Eregion to kill Sauron on his own, and so they start bombarding the city, which is exactly what Sauron wants. Celebrimbor hears this ruckus outside, but when he goes to check it out, it's a nice peaceful day. Yes, Sauron's got an illusion going. Hey man, everything's chill out here. You can get back to forging my rings. The rings. Now the orcs are stuck across the river, but Adar has a plan for that. He fires the catapults at the mountain, which causes a landslide and blocks the river so the orcs can invade on foot. And so it's time for a big siege battle. And now when things look bleak, Elrond's here with reinforcements coming in with the classic cavalry charge. But this one doesn't win the battle. Adar's got a trick. He puts Galadriel right up front, so the elves gotta all slam on the brakes. Adar's like, hey, pull back your armies and give me the ring so I can kill Sauron, or I'll kill Galadriel. But Elrond's like, not a chance, bub. He lets Elrond say his goodbyes, and there's some romantic face touching, and these two start smooching. She's like, huh, I kinda thought we were just friends, but it was a cover. He slipped her a lockpick thing. Unfortunately, her escape goes poorly because she forgot to tuck her hair back. Luckily, someone helps her escape. It's this elf guy who joins the main plot. And now she romantically touches his face, so I think that's just an elf thing. And so the battle is raging on, but now the orcs start chanting and bring out their big siege weapon. Yes, it's Mini Grond. The elves have to take this thing out, so Elrond puts his best sniper on it. Unfortunately, just then, she gets Boromir'd, hit with a dozen arrows, oh boy. But she's fine, 'tis but a scratch, and she's got enough strength for one more shot, which lands right in the barrel of, I guess, explosive gunpowder. Now let's check in with the other plot lines. Tom Bombadil brings maybe Gandalf to a bunch of dead trees. Time to go pick your wizard staff. But maybe Gandalf has a vision that his hobbit friends are in danger. It's like, yo, I gotta go back and save them. But Tom Bombadil's like, you gotta pick one. Be a wizard or save your friends. And of course he chooses to save his friends, who have been captured by the Dark Wizard. But this guy's trying to be all nice right now. He plays it off like a misunderstanding. I know I give off major Dark Wizard energy, but I'm actually a really nice guy. He wants maybe Gandalf to join him so they can save Middle-earth together. But this dude's obviously lying, so he moves to plan B, cause a rock slide to kill all the Stewars. Luckily, maybe Gandalf is able to save them with his own magic, but their village was totally destroyed, so they're gonna leave and go find the Harfoots. And Denori realizes she's gotta help them, so she says goodbye to her wizard friend. On his way out, he finds a cool stick that would make a great wizard staff, and now he realizes that was a test he was supposed to choose to save his friends. As they were leaving, the Stewars all called him Grand Elf, cause to them all tall people are just elves. And now he's like, Grand Elf? Well, that almost sounds like a pretty cool name. So he decides to drop the R and is officially Gandalf. Meanwhile, over in Numenor, Pharazôn's nice and easy coup has turned into a bit of a mess. Elendil's daughter finally realizes she's joined up with the bad guys, so she covers for her father so he can escape. He's gonna smuggle the queen out of town, but she wants to stay to be a martyr if she has to. It's up to Elendil to lead the resistance, and so she bestows upon him the legendary sword Narsil. Yes, the sword that would eventually pass to his descendant, Aragorn. Kevin, meanwhile, is sent overseas to oversee the new Numenorian colony, and he's quite surprised to find Isildur alive and well. Isildur's like, hey, can I get 2 seats home for me and my new girlfriend? Yeah, earlier she decided, forget my fiance, I'm in love with you, guy I met 2 days ago. But Kevin breaks the bad news to him, my dad's king now and your dad's a traitor, so I guess you're under arrest. And as for you peasants, congrats, you're now a colony of the great Numenor Empire. We're gonna put you to work chopping lumber. Oh, the Treants aren't gonna like that. Now, while the Battle of Eregion rages outside, Celebrimbor's happily stuck in Dreamland, where he's almost finished forging the 9. But the illusion's not perfect, he starts to notice, and now he realizes he's been deceived. His friend Anatar is Sauron. And Sauron's corrupted these rings most of all. He's fully poured his blood into them. So Celebrimbor runs outside, but he's rambling incoherently, so it's like, okay, Grandpa, let's get you to bed. And Sauron breaks up with his new girlfriend, makes Celebrimbor throw her off the wall. Now Celebrimbor is under arrest, forced to finish the 9 rings. But now he finds the strength to escape, even though the only way out of the handcuffs is cutting off his own thumb. His guards catch him immediately, but just then Galadriel arrives, and she vouches for Celebrimbor. He's not crazy, Halbrand really is Sauron. Galadriel takes the rings to get to safety while Celebrimbor confronts Sauron, but Sauron has power over those he's deceived, makes these guards kill each other, and he kills Celebrimbor. Outside, the battle is finishing up. There's only a handful of elves left, but they've held out to the new dawn, and that's what Elrond's been waiting for, because earlier he paid a visit to his dwarf best friend Durin, like, hey bro, battle, I need your help. And so Prince Durin made a big speech rallying the dwarves to help the elves. But as he's leaving, he gets the bad news. His dad's just finished opening the tunnel. They need the army to stay here to defend from potential Balrog attack. His father was right about the riches down here because it's the Mithril Motherlode. But of course, Disa was also right. And yes, it's happening! Balrog time! King Durin realizes he's made a huge mistake, so he apologizes to his son and runs off for a final stand to take the Balrog on his own. Luckily, their fight recollapses the tunnel, so that's it for Balrog for now. Without dwarf reinforcements, the elves make their desperate last stand, but soon the city is overrun. And Adar finally got Galadriel's Ring of Power. But the power of her uncorrupted ring has actually healed his orcishness. Oh no, he's hot! But it also helped him realize he was doing the wrong thing. He takes it off and gives the ring back to Galadriel. You were right, we shouldn't be fighting each other. We need to fight Sauron, and then elves and orcs can maybe live in peace. Just then, Adar's best friend is wounded, but what? It's a trick! Oh, shanked! He's been mad at Adar for wasting orc lives in this pointless battle. And by the way, he's got an orc wife and orc baby? He decided to talk with Sauron himself, who convinced him, of course I love orcs. And so the orcs kill Adar, who did have their best interests at heart. And they've pledged to follow Sauron, who they quickly quickly realize does not. So it's time for the final sword fight, Galadriel vs. Sauron. Yeah, oh, he's using the crown as a weapon. He still kind of has a crush on Galadriel, wants her to join him on the dark side, but she's not interested. So in the end, he stabs her with the crown and takes the 9 rings. He mind controls her to get her ring too, but she's like, psych, and yeets herself off the cliff. And so it seems the bad guys won, but now what's this? Crossbows? Yeah, dwarf reinforcements finally arrived. Sorry we were late, got stuck in Balrog traffic. The city of Eregion has fallen, but many of the elves at least survived, including Galadriel, who they managed to heal with the power of their magic rings. Elrond gives Galadriel's back by romantically slipping it on her finger. Wait, did we just get engaged, or is that another elf thing? So as season 2 comes to an end, Kevin is leading Numenor's forces to colonize this city in Middle-earth, where Doofus Kid is hanging around. Isildur is sailing back to Numenor, leaving his new girlfriend here to have an awkward talk with her fiancé. Queen Muriel is a prisoner, while Elendil rides off to start the resistance, to overthrow the bad King Pharazôn, who, like a huge hypocrite, starts using the Palantir. The Harfoot Nori has left her wizard to go help her people find the Shire. Maybe Gandalf is now definitely Gandalf, ready to learn magic from Tom Bombadil and face off against the Dark Wizard, whoever he is. Prince Durin's ready to become king, but his brother, who we haven't yet met, is also putting in a claim for the throne. And they know the dwarven rings are bad, but they're still there as a temptation. Sauron is ready to continue his plans for world domination, using tiny pieces of jewelry, but the free peoples of Middle-earth will always rise to fight him, though it's mostly just the elves at this point. And that's where Rings of Power Season 2 comes to an end. If you liked this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies.